on certain areas, dropping poisonous crap on the ground. That did in fact happen. So that could have been looked at as a hit in an ill winds type of thing. But when you look at the outcome of what the report said you should expect, pretty damn weak. Having said all that, pretty damn weak webbot hit. And they say, well, the webbot will err on the side of being more, worse than it actually came to be. It's just the nature of it. So it may not be as bad as it really comes to be sometimes. So that would look like, oh, ill winds, man. That's been in the data for years and years and years. We've been building up to this, and that's all it was. Well, hey, all right. Yeah, there's going to be bad seafood and other stuff, but damn, that wasn't as bad as we thought. Only to find out radioactive waste from Japan coming, multiple reactors possibly melting down as we speak. They're trying to flood it with seawater. Where is that seawater going? Because it's not going through the cooling system. It's actually just being dumped on it. In other words, it would be like you have a car that's overheating. Well, your cooling system in the car, which is the radiator fluid, right, mixed with water, actually goes through the inside of the engine by the cylinder walls, sleeves, where it gets really hot, and circulates through your water pump, circulating that. It's a closed system, goes back to the radiator, cools it off, back into the engine, right, and you have a normal temperature where your car stays. If that thing blew apart into pieces, radiator destroyed, water pump destroyed, everything in that cooling system destroyed except the engine itself, and you get the bright idea, well, the engine's kind of running still, it's going to overheat. We don't want the engine overheating, so let's get seawater, or any water actually, and let's just get a 5-gallon bucket basically and pour it on top of the engine to help cool it off. I can assure you with 100% fact right now that if you did that, your engine would still overheat. Sure, you would see the thing steaming off as you poured the water, but because the heat is inside of the engine, that's where the heat is generated, and you're not circulating that area specifically, you're hitting the outside of the engine, it's just going to burn off like nothing. Meanwhile, your engine is cooked, it's going to burn up. It'll be cooked. So that's kind of what I'm saying here. They're trying to just push seawater across this thing, like, let's just do that. First, and second of all, where's the seawater going that is now highly radioactive? Is it just trickling down to the ground after you're done? If I pour a bucket onto my engine, again, it was a closed system. Is it, my engine is a closed system. If I pour water on it, it evaporates immediately because it's so hot, as well as falling off the side and onto the ground. I don't know enough about nuclear reactors or what they even did when they say, oh, we're pumping seawater into it. They didn't get too specific on us. What does that mean, and where's the seawater going after it hits this hot zone or whatever of this reactor? Is it steaming off and going back into the ocean, or steaming off and going into the ground, etc.? Nobody wants to answer that question. You got, I think, 13 million people living in Japan. And remember one of the other big keywords out of the webbot, diaspora. Diaspora and more diaspora. The movement of a mass body of people, or a large amount of people, roughly at the same time, deciding we're out of here, we're leaving. That actually is taking place in Japan, because as they continue to say, hey, the barrier of get away from this reactor zone is now 2 miles, 10 miles, 20 miles, right? Those people they have to leave. So that's diaspora. Perfect definition of it, and that's it right there. Now, the interesting thing was there's supposed to be a global coastal event. Was this it? I don't know yet. I actually think no. Not yet. I think maybe the big one that may come off the coast of California could be the global coastal event. That hasn't happened yet. But anyways, global coastal event happens. Of course, causes water to come in, flood out, just like you're seeing in Japan, except on different coastlines of the world. Which you could say actually happened in California. I saw some of that video. It was pretty devastating in some of those inlets and whatnot, and where these boats were parked. So the thing is, it said it would be 2 million, 2.2 million, 20 million, maybe 20.2 million, or up to 200 million people fleeing, and it would be normally north of the 20-degree latitude where they flee to due to this global coastal event. So the reason he said we don't know the million number, we know it should be millions, we just don't know if it's 2 million, 20 million, or 200 million, is because frequently the webbot will, when dealing with numbers and times or whatever, that it'll get the decimal point off, when it deals with numbers of whatever it's talking about. So the decimal point could be off. 200 million, 20 million, or 2 million basically. I haven't seen 2 million people that I'm aware of yet out of Japan. So I don't know if this is even that event either, but it's interesting because it looks like the ill winds thing is here. So is it going to be ill winds and the global coastal event at the same time? Man, I just don't think so. I think this is just a little tiny piece of what's to come over the next 2+ years, 2 maybe 3 years max, due to, yes, 2012. If anyone has any non-belief that 2012 has something to do with what's going on right now, they actually need to get their head checked or start researching yourself so that you can come to the conclusion of the rest of us instead of looking like a complete idiot and laughing at people who study this stuff. I mean, you have every ancient civilization on the face of the earth saying, oh, hey, yeah, I realize we were around, thousands of years ago. But we all, on different parts of the earth, mind you, have a date that we want the rest of the humanity to pay attention to. And it happens to be December 21st, 2012. There's only one civilization, which I believe was the Incas, who said no, it's actually October 28th, 2011. It's the only one who said that. The rest of them, it's 2012. For me, it does not matter because it's not. I just don't think this one giant big event is going to take place in one day. It's going to be stuff like Japan in the next month. Oh my God, another 9.2? Holy crap, we just had a 9.0 in Japan, 2 months ago. Oh my God. I think it'll be that kind of thing. And if I'm wrong, and it's that kind of thing, but then 2012 comes and it's a massive catastrophe, then yeah, I got it wrong, but it doesn't really matter at that point because I've been preparing for this one way or the other. Whether it's one giant event or multiple big events leading up to 2012, and as we near 2012, they get worse and worse and worse and faster and faster and faster. Doesn't really matter. So whether it's October 28th, 2011, really doesn't bother me as much as if it was 2012 or one way or the other because we're leading up to it. One nice thing would be, well, October is only, several months away, and if we're starting now and it peaks in October, well, that's just a few months from now. I'd rather have that happen than have 2 years of building up. Yeah, I could agree there, but again, the rest of the ancient civilizations said no, it's 2012. Looking at star charts and these shows like the Nostradamus shows and things on the History Channel where they show there's some kind of, I think, Mars alignment that takes place, and it's what an extreme rare event. And Nostradamus has these pictures of these 3 stars or 3 moons or 3 something, and it said the only next time that's going to take place basically is within the year 2012 sometime, I think, and they gave the dates approximately. It'll happen on that month, then it'll happen again then, and then it'll happen the third and final time then. There's no other time in history where those 3 events happen that quickly within the same year, basically. It's a real extreme event. Nostradamus was saying, hey, this is when it's going to happen. So that's why, another reason why I have reason to believe the 2012 date is the right date, not the 2011 one. It doesn't really matter. If you're prepared, you're prepared. That's all I can say. One interesting thing for me is that me thinking, oh, I'm 20, 25 miles away from the coast of the Gulf, these damn tsunamis can go in pretty significantly, especially when a bigger one comes. The nice thing is, well, I'm not expecting too much from the Gulf as I would as the Atlantic, which is where one of those damn cracks in the earth, if you look at Google Earth or whatever, you can see that massive crack in the Atlantic Ocean. And that's going to be one of the hot spots probably because number one, Edgar Cayce had said that's where Atlantis will rise once again, I believe, off of the coast of Atlantis, the Atlantic coast or whatever. So I have reason to believe there's going to be a massive uplifting of the earth at that point, and it will come above land, above water, and that's potentially where a tsunami could come in. So I'm, 150 miles away from that, the east coast of Florida or so. I'm pretty safe there. But if the new Madrid gives way and the whole United States is split into 2, which is another Edgar Cayce prediction, all that water coming down from the Great Lakes and whatnot, slamming down into the Gulf of Mexico, heading down Dr. Doom's way. The nice thing would be that it is going south, and it would spread out some, but the bulk of it would go straight south. It would have to, for it to hit me, is go south, and then Tampa bust a left, which actually is my right, and go into Tampa. So we may get some effect of some kind of water. Is it going to come in 20 miles? I don't know. And for anyone who thinks they can say, oh, well, I know for sure it will, or I know for sure it won't, you're an idiot, because no, you don't. You have no idea how powerful it's going to be. Is it even going to cause a tsunami? which way the water's actually going to flow at first, etc. I mean, there's no telling. So, you know, you can't say how far something's going to happen, when it happens, if it happens. It's just, it could be massive, it could be small. You know, there's just no telling. There really isn't. So, point of this video, I want to prepare you for what happens if this is the ill winds forecast in the webbot. Prepare for the slaughter of cattle and the slaughtering or destroying of crops, because they will be radioactive, or at least that's what they're going to tell you in some cases, that, oh, it's radioactive over here, we're destroying everything. So if you're a farmer or know a farmer, especially one that has a large farm that actually produces something not just for his neighbors, but, you know, has a big thing going on, or a giant cattle ranch, you need to make them go get a Geiger counter immediately to have in their hand, so that when the time comes and the government comes to them and says, hey, your area, this area is now being affected with radiation, they can go out there in their own field with their Geiger counter, with the government bozo standing there and say, show me where radiation is. I'm getting nothing. And if you're going to slaughter my cattle, I want you to prove to me with some equipment that there's radiation here. And I've got my Geiger counter too, so let's see what we have here. That way, they can't pull any fast ones. Because if the federal government just tells a local agency, your area is now being a hit, we've got federal data, go, you know, this area is to be slaughtered, they're not going to go out there themselves and verify. Hey, we got an order from the government, let's just go do it. We know they're going to tell the truth, of course. They have our best interest in mind, not realizing that they don't always have your best interest in mind. So you're going to have to fight with the guy coming to your property or your farm's property telling you, oh, the government just said that they took tests or whatever, they had airplanes flying earlier, this place is getting hit right now. And you can walk outside and say, no, the hell it isn't, you're not touching my animals, take a look. Basically. So, that's all I got for you. You better get your food storage in line, and you also better get some more silver, or some silver if you don't have silver, because all of these things are going to affect everything. It's going to affect the price of silver. Silver's going to skyrocket, food's going to skyrocket. They're going to use these things that are happening right now as things to have you pay attention to. Not that they're doing this on purpose, but, oh, an earthquake hit, perfect timing. Okay, start the collapse on the stock market. Okay, start the collapse on the dollar. Okay, finally let gold and silver skyrocket. Let's keep this earthquake on TV while this is going on. So, you'll want to pay attention and get in before that type of stuff happens, because I can assure you it's going to be here, you know, soon enough. They always use these events to cover other things. And again, I'm not saying they made the event happen so that they could cover up something else. They just used it, perfect timing, you know, roll with this scenario. So anyways, gotta go. Talk to you guys later.